Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 here at the STL Scoreboard podcast. I'm Reese alongside Jack, and we're going to get right into it. So, starting off, Eric Fede yesterday gets DFA'd by the St. Louis Cardinals. So, everyone's been waiting for this one. Let's get your thoughts on it.
It was much needed.
Yeah.
I on the last podcast I gave him some hope. I said, all right, guys, let's take it easy. We've seen this before, but what was it, 2 or 3 more bad starts since the last time we've been on, and that was the final straw, and it was much needed.
And I think the most frustrating thing about this with Cardinal fans is you look at his stuff. He's 3-10 with a 5.22 ERA. I mean, it's bad. And you think if you had McGreevy in his spot for maybe let's say 4 games, and that gives you 4 more games to get in to a wild card spot. We were just talking. We're only 3.5 out right now.
2.5.
2.5 out. So it gives you 4 more games to have a chance. You could be in a spot right now if it wasn't for Eric Fede. And listen, I can back this up, and we're going to go right into it, was this trade a total loss? You know, you give up Tommy Edman, you get Tommy Pham, who ends up getting DFA'd, and then you get Eric Fede, who ends up getting DFA'd. Was this a total loss? I think at the time it was the right trade. This team was very desperate for starting pitching, and I think they went out, they got somebody who was proven. I mean, Fede, he was a solid 3 to 4 year array here with the White Sox, and I think bringing in Fede at that time, I think it was great. Obviously, this move's going to suck now, but at the time, it really made total sense to me. And I kind of didn't like when people were going after, Mo and everything, saying it's another bad trade. This trade was okay at first, it did its part. Fede had some good starts last year, but this year he just didn't have it. And it sucks that it happens to the Cardinals, and it happens at probably the wrong time with the team who had a chance. What do you think?
Yeah, and we look at Tommy Edman in that trade too, and you just don't really know what he's going to pan out. I mean, if Tommy Edman and Tommy Pham would have, switched roles, because those are similar players at the time, maybe Edman's a little bit better. But
and Edman was coming off an injury. You didn't know how he was going to bounce back. Edman had a good start to this year, but I'm pretty sure he's batting 220 right now. He's got the home runs, but he's not really doing what he did. So I mean, looking back on it, Edman's been okay with getting rid of it. I'm sure it'll bite him in the butt, but he's the same player as Donovan. So I think when you got Edman there and you have Donovan there, it was the exact same player. So I think when they got rid of him, they were expecting we have Donovan, and you look what Donovan's done this year. This guy's bat 290 all year, unreal. So he really took his place really well, and I think at the time the trade was good.
Yeah, you look at Tommy Pham's tenure there, and you have a solid player who has a lot of experience. It was just unfortunate that he struggled so much, and we had to DFA. I mean, that's a bad beat there too, along with Edman's success.
It just sucks because Tommy Pham, he came back, he hit that iconic home run when he first came back here, and then he wanted to go to a playoff team, and you couldn't trade him at the time, so you got to DFA him, and it was tough, and it was a really tough time. So now we're going to go into here is the last 3. Okay, the last 3 Cardinal trades that have went down, the bigger trades, have all been DFA'd. And I saw this the other day, and I think it's very interesting. So you look at Tommy Edman, you get Fede, and you get Tommy Pham, both DFA'd. You get Dylan Carlson out. You get Sean Armstrong. Sean Armstrong, the relief pitcher with Tampa Bay, he gets DFA'd. Then you go the Tyler O'Neill trade, and you get Nick Robertson, and Nick Robertson gets DFA'd. Is this bad luck? Is this how the Cardinals are doing business? I don't know, because you look at guys like O'Neill and Carlson. I saw this the other day. Wouldn't you rather take a prospect who has really high hopes, maybe like someone who's really low, who's done it before, someone you can work with, or they're taking these veterans and they're just ended up getting DFA'd?
Yeah, I don't know if it's bad luck or what it is, but you have to draw the questions. I know you support Mo. I'm here to support him too, but he's got a thing for the old guys, and that's it. It has, we got Pujols. Nobody talks about that. Was, I mean, there's an old guy. He brought extreme success to the team, and so he's got a thing for the old guys. He's dying on the hill. I mean, he's not changing his ways. He's had success in the past, so it's hard to point the finger.
I mean, look at the Arenado trade and Goldschmidt. I bring that up all the time. They got those 2 for basically nothing, and yeah, their tender here hasn't been as good as people thought, but at the time, those were unbelievable trades, and Goldschmidt even had that MVP season with us. So, I mean, it's hard to really hit on Mo because he has his ups and downs, and this is baseball. This is all part of the game. This is why people play the game. This is why managers go out. They do what they do. It isn't easy, and that's where I think it brings a tough challenge in. So that'll bring us here. What do you think about this trade deadline? Is it a buy or sell? Because I think this Rocky series it kind of put a hit on it. What do you think?
Yeah, if you go sweep the Rockies, then there's still a question mark in the air. But losing the Rockies series, I personally don't think there's a question. Now, you go sweep the Padres. They're
That's the
winning a
thing.
while.
You win last night.
There's always a what if here,
Yeah.
and the Cardinals are they're just what if after what if, and eventually those what ifs are cut off, and it's gonna be there's no more if. You're 3 games under, you're 5 games under 500. Sooner or later, it's all gonna collapse.
And I always got belief with the Cardinals here. I always got belief that they'll do it, but that Rocky series, it was brutal. And Oliver Marmol, the coach the other day, he says that Sunday game, he says that was the worst game he ever played. He said that was the worst game of the year, and it really wasn't good for them. But you know what? Got to find a way around it. We'll see what they do. I think the hardest thing when you come out of a trade deadline, and I think they should sell now. So that's my opinion on it. But I think the hardest thing is coming out of a trade deadline, knowing you sell players. As a player, you still got to get through the season, but try to prove people wrong. Because, there's guys out there. Contreras keeps saying in the media how he picked to be here for a reason. He wants to play here. He wants to play baseball here. But when you know you're not going to win, it's got to be tough as a player, right?
Especially when you're not looking at next season. You have extreme hope. It's not like Arenado is playing his best ball right now. Yeah. It's hard to sit there and have high expectations. I mean, St. Louis is a great place. It's a great town for baseball. We've seen that. But I mean, if you have the Yankees, or you have a team out west, or you have a solid team knocking on your door, from the outside looking in, some of these players, it's going to be hard for them to sit here and say, I'm going to stick with the Cardinals, who are kind of rebuilding. That doesn't make any sense to me. I could be wrong, and players could have better character than that. But the competitive nature, I believe, of these guys, I would expect to see some significant moves. I'd expect to see some no trade clause waived. I mean,
you'll see it, and I think it's going to be pretty important. I think you got guys like Steven Matz. I think you're going to get a lot for. No one wants to see Helsley go, but the reliever price, there's a lot of teams desperate for relievers. I mean, I think you can get a lot for him, and it doesn't hurt. It just kind of, what sucks about selling at a deadline is I think it just restarts the whole process again. That's kind of what they've been after. But I think you can do a little bit of both too. I'm always up for a little bit of both. Like you said, you go out, you sweep the Padres. Shoot, that brings some life into the clubhouse. You go out there. Let's say you sell Helsley. Let's say you get somebody in return that maybe can provide some home runs. They've lacked in the home run category, but there's lots of things that can be done. Gorman, I think that's it for him. I think he's done. It's going to be hard to get him somewhere, but I think a team I would love to take Gorman on my roster. And I said the same thing about Steven Matz. I think those two are – Steven Matz has come in for long relief and done an unbelievable job in every game he's played this year. I mean, he has been great. And I think Nolan Gorman's another one. I think Gorman, he hasn't done what he needs to do. His long ball, we all expected Gorman to be this big superstar, and he had high hopes, but it's kind of failed for him. So I think Gorman he'll go somewhere else and he'll do really well. And that's where also I think, Jojo Romero and Arenado, I think they're gone too. Arenado sucks, but, we talk about J.J. Weatherholt, how he's been doing, and we'll get into that. That guy's on a tear. So, I mean, selling at the deadline doesn't sound bad at all to me.
It sucks, and I have zero patience, but this process is going to require a ton of patience. Next season may be a dud, but, looking forward to the future. Hopefully we'll get the Cardinals of the 2010s back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so hard growing up in that era and growing up in the era we've been in. When the Cardinals miss the playoffs, it's an extreme disappointment just because of how we've grown up, right? We rarely see them miss the playoffs.
Yeah, I think we're very fortunate because of all that. I mean, this will be, the third year in a row, I'm pretty sure, that they're going to miss the playoffs. And there's always a shot. There's always a chance. But, it's going to be tough. And that's where now I'm going to get into here. Gregory Soto today for the Orioles, their closer, he went to the Mets. And the return was only a 19th prospect in the Mets system and then a no-name prospect. It worries me a little bit about the reliever market. I think Helsley will be fine. He's also a rental, and Helsley's a rental too. But I think that's a little scary when you look at how great of a talent Helsley is and you look at the return Gregory Soto gets. Now, Helsley's better, in my opinion. I have a little bias there, but I do think he's better than Soto. But it's a little weird looking at what you get for a closer who's pretty good going to a really good contender.
Yeah, this is you live in the neighborhood, the neighbor next door. He has one less bathroom than you, but he just sold his house for $500,000, and you were going to list yours on the market for about $650. So you kind of hate to see it. a lot of things can change, and we'll see as more players go. But you would expect to get a little bit more out of JoJo, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, JoJo's another one. I think they're going to get a lot more out of him. I think JoJo's been one of the best setups this year. So him and Helsley, they're going to be just fine. Hopefully, a good price for him. What are you trying to see in return? Low prospects. That's probably the route they're going to go. And I'm good with all guys 26 and under. I think that's a tough price to get, but if you can find someone that age, that young, maybe get them in the system, maybe develop them. I think that's the best case. What do you think?
I agree. I think we should get some young guys, some no names, nobody knows, but let's just build it. I'm embracing. Let's tear it all down. Let's get rid of Nato. Let's get rid of everybody. Let's build this sucker back up.
Yeah, Nato's another one, man. He's going to be. I think the Yankees are going to really want him. I think they're going to find out Eugenio Suarez on the Diamondbacks. He's going to be really high priced, and I think the Yankees aren't going to get him. And I think the Yankees are going to go after us. And you could throw a little package in there, maybe a little Nato and Helsley, and see what you can get. I mean, if you can get a couple arms, it's always the best thing for this team because I talk about this all the time. I really love this roster going into the season. I think hitting wise, they were going to be really good, but they're lacking the home run ball. They're not playing as well as you thought, and it sucks because this team this year I thought had the chance to make a lot of noise. I think the roster they had, I thought it was perfect. Spring training, you had guys like Victor Scott hitting 300, 325. It's like it was pretty insane, but it just sucks now. Now's like probably the worst time. You got to think, well, we're gonna move on. Looking into it though, on the high side, you have Michael McGreevy who comes up, takes Eric Fede's spot. We've been waiting for this for a long time. The guy's been making spot starts, but I mean, man, you can't ask. He's 2-1 with a 3.49 ERA. The kid is really looking good. What do you think here?
I'm really excited just to see a new face around and just get a new guy on the bump. But you got to keep your expectations low at first. I don't want to get super high on him. I mean, we can't ask too much after having Fede. It's a process, and I don't want to get super high on it if I don't get super low if he has a bad start. But it's good to see a new face. It's good to develop a guy because I think he'll be around for a while.
Yeah, and I think they've done a really good job with him so far. I mean, he's killing it at the AAA level. He comes up. He's been making everything he needed to do. The other night against Colorado, I mean, he looked great. He played really well, and I think this arm's going to be really good in the future. I think this has a potential to be a number 2 and 3 in your lineup as long as the kid, keeps developing. But it's just really exciting stuff to see. So was the Rockies series that we just had good for the Cardinals? Because I think this was the best thing for the team. Because when you look at the Rockies and you look where they're at, then you look where we're at. But at the end of the day, the Rockies weren't that good. And it sucked, It's like you lose 2 or 3 to the Rockies, but I think this was the best thing for the Cardinals because I think this puts them in a spot at the deadline where they know they're going to sell. I think they know they're going to sell going into it. They know, okay, who are we trading? Who are we going to get? What's our plan? Instead of doing this against the Rockies a week down the road where you already bought at the deadline, then you start losing ball games. I think the Rockies series was the best thing for the Cardinals.
To me, if we would have swept the Rockies, that would prove absolutely nothing. The Rockies are terrible. Yeah. There's no hiding that from us. And the fact that we lost the series to them is extremely embarrassing. But all things considered, it's a really good thing. Yeah. Let's sell. Let's put us in a direction. Let's get rid of all of it. My hopes are gone.
Yeah. And I do like it because I think it puts them in a really good position to where they know where they're at. Because let's say you sweep the Rockies. Yeah. And then let's say you take 2 out of 3 from the Padres. Now you're in a buying stage, but it's also like the team is still in a sell mode. So it's really interesting when you look at all this stuff. And that's where J.J. Weatherholt comes in, who we look at, man, he has been on fire. His last 8 games, he's had 11 hits and 4 home runs for the Cardinals in AAA. I'm really excited about J.J. Weatherholt. I know all Cardinal fans are, but when do you think he'll be up here? You have the August 16th deadline. Pretty sure that's the date for when you can get Rookie of the Year next year. And I think if you sell Arenado at the deadline, I think that August 16th deadline comes up, I think he'll be up here, and he'll be making a lot of noise in the MLB.
August 16th cannot come soon enough. I'm pumped. Hopefully that's the day that they'll pull him up. But otherwise, I think you just got to get him on the squad by the end of the season. Yeah. Just get his feet wet a little bit, get him in the clubhouse, get him around the guys, and we'll see where he goes from there.
He's an unbelievable player, man, and it really gets you excited about your future infield. I mean, you got Brendan Donovan who's on a tear, Mason Wynn, who his defense is phenomenal, and then J.J. Weatherholt moving to third maybe. I mean, that sounds awesome to me, man. That future infield is really something to get excited about. And Weatherholt is going to be a stud. And I hope everyone gets to know his name real soon because this guy, he is going to make a lot of noise. So what is there to expect between these next 2 to 3 weeks? It's hard for Cardinal fans right now to, keep not going along with the team, but this 2 to 3 weeks, it's gonna suck in my opinion. If they go, and you don't know, they could go, they could buy the deadline, and I think they could do both. But if they sell at this deadline, it's gonna be a tough. Let's push it to 4. It's gonna be tough 3 to 4 months. Dealing with losses, and I mean, you got to think they got to be losing money. I mean, fans aren't going to games. You got the Savannah Bananas selling out Busch Stadium. I mean, but not the Cardinals. It's going to be an interesting month. So what I think you need to expect is 500 baseball. I think they can do 500 baseball. And like you said, get a lot of guys' feet wet. Bring some guys up. Give some guys like Thomas Sagaci's. Give him some time. Give all these guys, a couple at bats. Give them some at bats. See what they can do. And they even said going into this year it was going to be almost like a tryout year. They want guys to come up. Now they haven't really done that, in my opinion. I think it was the surprise of them being so good. So I think they need to bring up some more guys towards the end of this year. Obviously, try to get some guys used to it, see what we can do, and go from there. What do you think?
Football cannot come soon enough. This next couple weeks, this next month stretch is going to be rough from the watching perspective. I don't think there's any hiding that. Now, I do think that after this month goes by and once we start getting into August, late August, and hopefully, I hate to say this, hopefully we're a couple games under 500. We'll get to watch some new players. We'll get to see how the future looks.
And that's always fun to me when you get guys coming in, that are, new, get to see them out, guys who've been in your system for a while. So it'll be real fun. So now moving on, is this Michaelis's last string for the Cardinals? Do you think they trade him at the deadline? Do you think they can trade him at the deadline? I mean, he's an internet meme now, I want to say, as he's been rocked over his last starts. But, I mean, Michaelis is 5-7 on the year with a 5.2 ERA, making $17 million a year. So it sucks. You're going to have to get through it. But it's hard because do you send him out there? If you're in the sell mode, I say you give him the spot. You let him, if you're going to lose games with him, you lose games with him. But it's a tough spot the Cardinals are in right now with him. And I think if you can get rid of him at the deadline, do everything you can. But I don't think anyone's going to take that contract.
$17 million a year. I mean, that just hurts. That just hurts the soul to hear. And as much as I want to say, just throw him out there, I think him pitching more is hurting his expectations for the. I mean, to continue to see him get rocked, I don't know how that looks attractive and appealing to any ball club. So I don't know what you do. You got to hope that he starts throwing well. You got to get rid of him. I'm not sure what that looks like or how, with the money wise and the. I'm not sure who wants to take really that on, but you got to get a new face in the starting rotation by next season, I believe.
And I think this offseason is going to be huge. I think they're going to try to bring in some guys that can get the rotation. I mean, you look at Michaelis is gone. You look at Fede's gone. McGreevy's going to get a spot now. He's going to get that fifth rotation. But there's other loopholes in there for other guys. So this spring training coming up this year, it's going to be a real big competition to see who can come in. And that's where I think this deadline's huge. Now, obviously, like I said, we don't know if they're going to buy or sell. I assume they sell, and I hope they sell. But this is going to be very interesting. I think they can really redo this ball club very well. I think they can get super young. I think with the pieces they got. I mean, you got guys, they talk about Donovan. You got J.J. Weatherholt coming up. Could you trade Donovan? Is that a guy you want to trade? A guy that's so good? But think of the return, It's going to be really tough, and I think Chaim Bloom coming over with Mozeliak, I think they're going to get together, and I think they're going to try the best they can. And I think it's going to be a successful deadline. I'm hoping to see some guys go, but never know, What do you think?
The Cardinals, Mozeliak, and now Bloom, they're not really a team to stay quiet at the deadline. I can't remember the last year that we've been pretty quiet. I mean, we typically make a lot of moves, and so I'm excited to see what's going to happen here. I wouldn't be opposed to getting rid of Donovan. I wouldn't be opposed to get rid of the whole team.
Totally agree. I don't think there's a player untouchable in the system at all besides J.J. Weatherholt. I got guys like I don't like trading Wynn. I think you can only trade Wynn if you have an unreal deal. I love Wynn as your future shortstop. I think he's going to grow. He's going to be a great player. But that Donovan keeps sparking me. It keeps sparking me because you got Sagaci down there, and Sagaci could hop into that second base, third base role. You need him to hit a little bit better, but if he could hit better, I mean, him and Weatherholt could be great, and you can get Donovan out for maybe some good prospects. So it's really going to be interesting, and it's going to be a tough week for Cardinal fans coming up to see all these guys go, and maybe they bring some guys in too. So you never know, but we'll see how they end up, and hopefully get into a wild card spot. You never know, Never know. So moving on to the Blues now. So the Blues did trade right after we filmed our last podcast. The Blues did trade Zach Bolduc for Logan Mailloux, a defenseman, 22 years old. Kid's a star, man. This kid's going to be really good. Bolduc sucks to lose. Bolduc's a really good piece for the Blues. But I don't think his ceiling is any more than he provided last year. I think Bolduc was a great player, but I don't see him turning into a 30-goal scorer. I really don't. I mean, Mailloux, and he had 33 points in 63 games and 12 goals in the AHL. Played around 8 NHL games to get his feet wet, but he is going to be your third-line defenseman pair. How do you feel about him?
That's awesome. I mean, I think like you said, I don't think Bolduc. I think that's his ceiling last season.
Yeah,
Guy played way.
And I love Bolduc.
Way above the expectation, and I'm really excited to see that. And I wish him the best of luck wherever he's headed next. Remind me where he's headed. Canadians. So, wish him luck over there. But I think with the upside of this trade and the ceiling of Logan is great.
Yeah, I really do. I think it's going to be huge. You look at the future decor. I mean, you got guys like Broberg, Mailloux, and Tucker. I mean, it's gonna be really fun. And Parayko's still up there too. Parayko's getting a little old, but this decor is gonna be really, really good, and I'm excited for it. I think Doug Armstrong did a great job here for the Blues. I think it was a tough move because I know how much he likes Zach Bolduc. He brought him in. Him and Mailloux were drafted in the same class. Mailloux fell a little bit because of some personal stuff, but I think they got that all figured out. And I think he's going to be really good for the Blues. I think this is a great deal that they did. A lot of fans were kind of hitting on the Blues saying this wasn't good for Bolduc, but listen, I don't like I said, I don't see Bolduc doing any more than he did, and I think this is going to be really, really good for the Blues. So Kyrou's trade is still floating around. There's a Kyrou deal. The Canadians apparently still want him. Do you think even after the no trade clause ends, they still trade him?
Just with the Canadians already getting low, I don't think it's possible again. I think if something would have happened with Kyrou and the Canadians, that would have already happened.
I agree. I think if they really wanted to get rid of him, they would already have. But you never know. Doug Armstrong, he did say he did all his moves. They got him done really early, but he's always listening. So there's always times out there you can get something going, and it would be really interesting to see him go because the return would have to be significant, I think. I mean, you look at the guys on a 7-year deal, I think. So it would really have to be significant, and I don't see it happening, but if it did, kind of hurt my heart. But I could also see Kyrou feeling all this trade talk, going out there and scoring 40 to 50 goals next year, I think this kid really is getting fired up by all this, and I think he's got something to prove to these fans. So, another thing I want to get into. So, with Joel Hofer coming up, signing his contract, the Blues kept him. He's been a really, really good goalie for the Blues. But Jordan Binnington's up there. Do you think when Jordan Binnington's contract gets up that they'll move on from him and they'll go after Hofer?
I think you just got to kind of wait and see what happens this season. Binnington, he had an okay season.
Yeah.
The playoffs were outstanding.
Oh, yeah. And
guy did a
great.
How he is when it gets to the playoffs. But you look at Binnington in the first half of the season, I know the team didn't have very good success and there was only so much you could do about it, but he was getting some serious hate from our organization. But you look at the Four Nations, until that championship game,
he turned it around.
Oh boy, was he getting heat from the Canadians.
Yeah.
And I was right there with them because I was rooting for the USA, so I wasn't really complaining. And yeah, I was pumped up to see him play well, even though the USA didn't get the job done. His low is pretty low.
Yeah, he had a good year last year, and I think what sucked about his stats is I think the team behind him just wasn't with him. I think he played pretty well, but it does suck, like you say. You look at a guy like Jordan Binnington, who he's been great, and he's been everything the Blues want. And I think he wants to be a Blue for life, but I think there's a time and there's a place where the Blues say, hey, we're going to get a lot for him. Joel Hofer's dang near just as good as him, so there could be a thing where they move on from him. Never know, so we'll see these upcoming weeks. So next, John Kelly gets released by the Blues, and he will not be on the broadcast anymore. What do you think about this? I'm assuming this is a money thing, as the Blues will now be transforming to a radio and TV simulated broadcast together. But John Kelly is not a part of the Blues to be the voice of the Blues. What do you think?
It hurts, man. Growing up, John Kelly's just the staple for the Blues, an iconic voice, and so to see him go is extremely disappointing. And I'm not sure behind the scenes stuff with FanDuel or whatever's going on there.
It's got to be money. It's got to be.
It fires me up. I'm extremely disappointed with losing John Kelly. I know truly doesn't have much to do with the team, But, just watching the games, John Kelly is outstanding. And for FanDuel to let him go is extremely disappointing, and it's extremely frustrating.
Yeah, it really is. And I think John Kelly was amazing. He was pushed the Blues for a while, so it's really going to get hard to get used to. But they got a plan, and we'll see how this goes. They're really revamping everything, so it sucks to see him go, but you got to move on. It's a business, so it does suck to be a Blues fan because of that. So here we go. The last part of the day is I got this future. So for projection of next year, the St. Louis Blues lines, I got the first line being Bushnevich, Thomas, and Snuggerud going on in that first line. What do you think?
I love it. I love the Snuggerud hype. I'm usually not one for a lot of hype, but the Snuggerud with the way he played in the pinnacle of that series, man, was that great against the Jets.
He looked so good in them playoffs.
He looked so great.
And he jumped up to that first line, and that's where I think that first line, the passing by Bushnevich is unreal, and I think he's going to fit really, really well with that line. Going on to line 2, we have Holloway, Pius Suter, and Jordan Kyrou. You like that projection?
I do. We talked about Kyrou, and I think that chip's going to be on his shoulder. He's a competitor, as we've seen with his playoff success. I look at those trade talks, and I think that some people can get discouraged by them. I think Kyrou is a guy who's going to just jump on everybody's throats. Mm-hmm. He's going to be out for blood.
I really do. I think so too. I think Kyrou's got a lot to prove, and I think he loves St. Louis, but it's hard because St. Louis hasn't loved him at times, and he's struggled. But he's done everything he can, and the playoffs are a problem for me. I don't think that guy shows up in a playoff series, but it's going to be something interesting for him because I think he's fired up. I think he's got a new chip, and I do agree. I think he's going to have a heck of a season. So line 3, we have Jake Neighbors, Braden Shen, and Matthew Joseph. I think this line 3 can make a lot of noise. I'm a huge fan of Jake Neighbors and how he plays the game, but what do you feel here?
Yeah, this is, you don't have to have anything too crazy on your third line. This is a sneaky good line here. Joseph with some success in the playoffs too. We talked about really that. Did. He scored a couple goals. That was awesome to see. But yeah, Neighbors and Schenner. I think we're in good hands there too.
And then you got the fourth line obviously here with Torpchenko, who Blues fans love, Nathan Walker, who they love, and Nick Bukestad coming in from Utah. I think this fourth line's got a lot of noise. Bukestad's a big fella. Torpchenko's big, and Walker's a little tiny guy. So it's going to be really fun watching this fourth line. I think they can really do some damage. I love Walker. I think he's been great for the club, and I think this is going to be awesome for them. What do you think?
I'm really excited to see this line and how these guys are going to work together. We got the two big guys.
At times, this fourth line was the best line last year. Obviously losing Foxa, but picking up a guy like Bukestad, you get the cheaper, you get the more goals. I think this is perfect for the Blues.
Yeah, we talk about it, and this is a famous quote, but you're only as good as your weakest link. These guys are solid. Yeah. For fourth liners, I'm not worried. I really like the future of this, and I think we're in good hands.
Yeah, you think this team's going over 100 points? Where do you think they're going to fit in the division? I'm thinking second place, maybe. I'm feeling that second place, and I think they're getting over 100. I think this team, like I said, I think that Jets loss was so good for them. I think this is something that they're just going to weigh on them, fire them up in the offseason, get it up in the locker room, and I think they're going to turn it around, really.
I'm so excited. I think this is definitely a triple-digit point club, and I'm really excited to see the work they put in the offseason and just how they jump on them at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I really do. I think it's nice. And you look at the decor, you're going to have Fowler and Parayko, Broberg and Falk, and then Tucker and Mailloux, who they just got for the Boulder trade. I think Mayhew's going to it's a get his feet wet year, but I think he's going to produce a lot. They're saying this kid's got one heck of a shot, so he's going to be really interesting to see. And it's weird because when you look at the Cardinals and Blues right now and you look at them both, the Blues did what the Cardinals want to do 2 years ago, or a year ago, and look where they ended up now. They restarted. They got rid of the farm. They started bringing in young guys. They got guys come in. They've really turned around. They got guys down low like Theo Lindstein and other D that are going to come up, and they're going to make a lot of noise. So I do hope the Cardinals can maybe follow what the Blues did and see if they can get younger, see what they can do with that. But it's going to be really interesting to see how these two turn out.
Yeah, I think these ball clubs together are very cognizant of each other. The Cardinals are going to take a lot of patience. I've talked only bad things about the Cardinals so far. I'm just at a bad point with how they've been playing and everything that's been transfolding, and they got the hopes up with the outstanding stretch, but it's all right. It happens. You can't be good every single year with the amount of capital we have and the amount of money we have. We're not going to be good every single season. And so I think we should just be grateful for the season that we've had so far and to beat a couple games over 500. We've got to watch some pretty good baseball and some interesting baseball. We took a couple games off the Cubs at Busch. That's always fun. And so it's been interesting. We're not as bad as the Rockies are. Although we just lost to them in a series, that has to be miserable to watch. I mean, you go out there every night. If I was a Rockies fan, I'm not sure I'm turning on my TV.
Yeah.
So we need to just be grateful. We need to be spot at gratitude, and we see where the Blues are, and man, are we pumped up for that. Well, the Cardinals are going to be there too. Just have some patience, and we'll be good. I'm preaching to myself right now.
No, I totally feel you there. I think the Cardinals are going to do the same thing. I think they're going to come up. They're going to be fine. It's going to take some time, but it'll be fun in the long run. It's all worth it in the end. And I think a lot of fans don't understand that it's a business, and they don't have as much money as these other teams have. You can't just go out there and get the top guy. And that's where the Eric Fede move comes in. That's why I think I really like that move, is because at the time you can't go out there and trade for an all-star and trade JJ Weatherholt and other great guys. Why would you do that, So it's going to be really fun to see how this Cardinal team moves, and I think they're going to be up there just where the Blues are, and I think the Blues are going to have a good year.
I'm pumped. I'm really excited.
All right, well, thank you guys for tuning in to episode 2. We'll see you next time.